KLIA shooting suspect arrested in Kelantan. Energy exchange to facilitate cross-border green electricity sales. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight and I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, police have arrested the man who allegedly fired a gun at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport or KLIA Terminal 1 yesterday. An Inspector General of Police, Sansri Razaruddin Hussein, he said a 38-year-old suspect was arrested at about 3 p.m. in Kota Baru, Kelantan today. Well, police will be seeking a remand order on the suspect at the Kota Baru Magistrates Court tomorrow. Well, Tan Sri Razaruddin said that further details of the arrest will be provided later. Now, in the 1:20 a.m. incident yesterday, the suspect fired 2 shots at his wife at the entrance of the arrival hall but missed, and 1 shot hit her bodyguard in the abdomen. The suspect then fled in a car and headed towards the north. The bodyguard was seriously injured and admitted to hospital, and police later said his condition was reported to be stable. Police also said that the suspect had a personal vendetta against his wife, and they were in the process of getting a divorce. Meanwhile, Selangor Police Chief Dato' Hussein Omar Khan said police had recorded statements from 11 witnesses, including the suspect's wife, policemen and airport security personnel.
Kita telah ambil 11 keterangan saksi. Termasuk mangsa yang kena tembak, yang kena mercut, pengawal keselamatan di airport, anggota polis, dan doktor lah yang merawat. Ada 2 doktor, satu yang daripada KLIA itu sendiri dan satu lagi daripada hospital. Okay. Dan kita juga akan memanggil beberapa lagi saksi yang terlibat dalam perniagaan, ahli keluarga dan juga beberapa yang lain yang boleh membantu siasatan.
On a related note, Dato' Hussein said police refrained from engaging the suspect in yesterday's shooting incident at KLIA to avoid jeopardizing the public safety. The Selangor Police Chief said the area where the suspect opened fire was crowded and engaging him could have led to a more serious incident.
Kalau kita engage dengan dia, keadaan mungkin lebih buruk. Dia kalau lepaskan tembakan, situ adalah kawasan awam yang ramai orang, kanak-kanak pun ada kat situ. Jadi pendekatan yang diguna dan tindakan respon oleh pihak polis dan juga pihak airport authority adalah cepat dan terbaiklah untuk saya lah.
He added that the investigations were still ongoing and would be referred to the Deputy Public Prosecutor for further action. Well, in a related development, Dato' Hussein said several improvement measures will be taken to raise the level of airport security and the efficiency of police personnel, including the use of electric scooters. Well, he said the use of electric scooters or self-controlled scooters had been planned at the beginning of the year, and the Selangor government agreed to buy the equipment for use by the Selangor Police. He said these electric scooters could ensure faster police response and wider patrols at KLIA Terminals 1 and 2.
Perkara yang kita akan tambah baik adalah dengan menggunakan so-called self control scooter. Kerajaan Negeri Selangor telah bersetuju untuk membeli bagi tujuan ini untuk kegunaan polis Selangor. So kita akan dapat skuter ni dalam masa yang terdekat lah.
Dato' Hussein said police also proposed to the airport to install scanners to tighten control, especially for members of the public who enter with prohibited items such as firecrackers and firearms. He said that better control is necessary for early detection, especially on individuals carrying prohibited items. And on to other items. Well, a total of 3,038 schools in the country are categorized as under-enrolled this year, with fewer than 150 pupils each. Now, Deputy Education Minister Wong Kah-Wo said even though the schools were categorized as under-enrolled or SKM, now the schools would continue to be given attention by the ministry and none would be closed. Wong said this includes providing allocations for necessary facilities and upgrading work to give equal balance to all types of schools.
Untuk makluman semua, bagi tahun ini tidak ada lagi sekolah kurang murid yang ditutup dan bagi pihak KPM, walaupun sekolah-sekolah terbabit diklasifikasikan sebagai sekolah kurang murid, tetapi perhatian akan terus diberikan kepada sekolah-sekolah berkenaan.
He said in Perak alone there were 419 under-enrolled schools, and this year the State Education Department had allocated 38,000 ringgit to all government schools regardless of the number of students. The Ministry of Education, meanwhile, has also drawn up several strategies to deal with the issue under the SKM Implementation Roadmap Initiative. Wong said among the strategies were the implementation of combined classes as well as the merging of under-enrolled schools in addition to the transfer or relocation of the schools. He said the combined classes would involve standard 2, 3, 4 and 5 pupils in schools with an enrollment of 30 students and below. Well, the water service operator for Johor, Ranhill SAJ, has been urged to immediately address the issue of water supply disruptions in the state. Now, Menteri Besar Dato' Onn Hafiz Ghazi wants the water supply operator to take proactive actions and improve service quality to the maximum level for the well-being of the people. Well, he said the state government expressed its regret over complaints of water supply disruptions during the Aidilfitri celebration. Well, Dato' Onn Hafiz said the problem has definitely affected the people's preparations to celebrate Aidilfitri. Well, this was despite the top management of Ranhill SAJ having given its commitment to ensure no issue of water supply disruption and rationing during the festive season. Well, he said the complaints received regarding the issue have raised questions about Ranhill SAJ's ability to deal with the problem. Well, recently, some 300 residents in Kampung Seri Muar and Kampung Agas, both in the Bukit Permai State constituency, experienced water supply disruption. And according to Bukit Permai Assemblyman Dato' Muhammad Jafni Matshukur, they were among more than 1,000 residents who experienced water supply disruptions ahead of Aidilfitri. Dato' Muhammad Jafni said the issue of water supply cuts in the affected areas has been happening for 10 years and becomes more critical during the festive season. Well, the Home Ministry, or KDN, together with the Perak State Government, will finalize discussions on the construction of the new Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security, or ICQS, complex in Bukit Berapit, Pangkalan Hulu this May. Deputy Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Samsul Anwar Nasara said currently discussions are mainly focused on several technical issues concerning the location, size and construction costs.
Perbincangan lanjut, penentuan kawasan dan sebagainya sedang dibuat antara KDN dan juga Kerajaan Negeri melalui UPEN. Secara prinsip kita buat. Tapi kita dah juga mengambil langkah awal dengan meletakkan SGR kita dekat dengan sepadan.
He said this during a gathering staff and retirees of Pangkalan Hulu District Police Headquarters in Gerik today. On 19th April last year, KDN agreed to relocate ICQS Bukit Berapit to a new location due to its distance from the international border checkpoints. Dato' Sri Dr. Samsul emphasized that constructing the new ICQS is crucial for improving counter-smuggling efforts. In addition, he highlighted the potential economic benefits of the new facility, anticipating it to stimulate growth and opportunities within the local economy sector. Still ahead in our business segment, B&M stands ready to ensure orderly market condition. Well, the Malaysian government has agreed to establish the Energy Exchange Malaysia, known as the ENEGEM, to facilitate cross-border sales of green electricity to neighboring countries. Now, the Ministry of Energy, Transition and Water Transformation, known as PETRA, in a statement said the setting up of ENEGEM is in line with Malaysia's energy transition aspiration and commitment to support regional power integration via the ASEAN Power Grid Initiative. Well, it said the cross-border sales of energy through the ENEGEM platform would be implemented based on the latest guide for cross-border electricity sales issued by the Energy Commission. As such, it is inviting interested and eligible parties to participate in the inaugural auction for the purchase of green electricity from Malaysia's electricity supply system to be supplied to Singapore via the Energem platform. Now, the statement said the auctioning process for cross-border sales of green electricity shall commence with a 100 megawatts pilot run, utilizing the existing interconnection between Singapore and Peninsular Malaysia. Well, it said among the key features of the auction for the purchase of green electricity is the pilot scheme, which is open to renewable energy bidders who hold electricity generation and or retailer licenses for the Singapore electricity market. The Agriculture and Food Security Ministry, KPKM, will not protect any quarters involved in rice cartel activities. Now, its Minister, Dato' Sri Mohammed Sabu, clarified the matter in a post on his Facebook page today following inquiries from some quarters regarding the issue. Now, in this regard, Dato' Sri Mohammed Sabu said KPKM is prepared to provide any information to the Malaysia Competition Commission or MyCC if there is indeed a rice cartel and will not interfere in any investigation conducted by MyCC. Well, it said among the scope of duty of the MyCC is to investigate the existence of cartels in the country's economy. Like last month, National Action Council on Cost of Living, or NACO, Task Force for Food Cluster Chairman Dato' Syed Abu Hussein Hafiz Syed Abdul Fasal. He claimed that there is a local rice cartel involving 4 to 5 companies in this country which acted to control the buying and selling of rice, leading to a shortage of the staple food in the market and increase in prices. Well, it said the information was obtained from engagement sessions with paddy farmers, millers, wholesalers, retailers and consumers. Well, Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, stands ready to deploy the tools at its disposal to ensure the Malaysian financial markets remain orderly and continue to function efficiently in light of the current geopolitical situation. Well, this is following Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim's statement on the West Asia conflict. Now, BNM said it continues to closely monitor conditions in the financial markets and will manage any risks arising from heightened financial market volatility. Well, it said it has engaged with financial market participants, including heads of Treasury operations, who concurred that any uncertainties would recede and stabilize once the geopolitical situation de-escalates. Now, the central bank will also ensure sufficient liquidity and the orderly functioning of the foreign exchange market, supported by ongoing initiatives with government-linked companies, government-linked investment companies, corporates and exporters to further bring inflows and liquidity into the foreign exchange market. Well, yesterday, Dato' Sri Anwar said the government is closely monitoring the developments in the West Asia conflict and the financial market situation, including the potential impact on Malaysia. On a related note, the ripple effects of higher oil prices on Asia-Pacific or APAC economies and globally are expected to be felt if the current development of West Asia tension is not diffused soon. Now, Moody's Analytics said the escalation of tensions in the West Asia over the weekend poses a significant threat to APAC economies, with the key risk coming from higher oil prices. Now, Moody's Analytics said that last Friday, ahead of Iran's attack on Israel, West Texas Intermediate crude was trading between $85 and $90 per barrel, and of that, an estimated $5 was a risk premium in anticipation of the attack. Now, that the attack has happened, Moody's Analytics expects oil prices to add another $5 per barrel to the risk premium, pushing oil to the $90 to $95 per barrel range. From here, there are two possible scenarios. Now, the most likely is a measured and restrained response from Israel that de-escalates tensions in line with pressure from the Joe Biden administration in the United States and the wider global community. Now, that would see the $10 per barrel risk premium fade over the next few weeks. Then, the second and far more damaging scenario would see an escalation in the conflict as Israel forcefully responds to the attack. Now, if that happens, oil prices could jump to more than $100 per barrel. Well, local institutions remained as net buyers on Bursa Malaysia for the 7th consecutive week, snapping up 430.7 million ringgit worth of domestic equities. Now, in its latest weekly fund flow report, MIDF Research said conversely, local retailers remained as net sellers for the 5th consecutive week, with net sales amounting to 57.1 million ringgit. Now, the research house said they ended their 22-day streak of net selling by making purchases of 9.5 million ringgit on Tuesday, but engaged in net selling on Monday and Friday last week. Meanwhile, it said the net selling trend by foreign investors has extended into its 7th consecutive week, amounting to 373.5 million ringgit during the shortened trading week due to the Hari Raya Aidilfitri holidays. Now, last week, foreign investors net bought property, transportation and logistics, as well as construction. MIDF Research added that sectors they were net selling were financial services, utilities and consumer products and services. In terms of participation, well, the average daily trading volume had decreased among local retailers and local institutions, but increased among foreign investors. The positive outlook and overweight ratings on the construction sector following the rollout of infrastructure projects nationwide continued to lift market sentiment. Well, as we enter the second quarter of this year, Budget 2024's 90 billion ringgit development expenditure allocation to fund projects should drive contract flows this year. Now, the projects include the Pulau Pinang LRT, Pan Borneo Sabah Phase 1, MRT 3, large-scale flood mitigation projects, Sabah Sarawak Link Road, Kuching Urban Transportation System Green Line, and water-related projects. Well, contract awards are expected to be forthcoming in the first half of this year. Now, while there is much focus on the rail lines, some contractors are also hoping to strike gold in renewable energy-related initiatives, such as the Corporate Green Power Program. Now, research houses RHB Investment Bank Berhad, Kenanga Research, Hong Leong Investment Bank and Rakuten Trade Sendirian Berhad are broadly optimistic about the industry. RHB Investment Bank has maintained an overweight call on the property sector, with top picks include UEM Sunrise, IOI Properties Group Berhad, and Eastern and Oriental. Now, it expects the property sector to continue to be driven by positive news flow on potential infrastructure projects, active land transactions, and the influx of investments, especially in the data center, green energy, and manufacturing sectors. Now, RHB Investment Bank said developers with sizable land bank and industrial segment exposure should see greater benefits from infrastructure developments and rising investment flows. It noted that pump priming across the Klang Valley, Iskandar Malaysia, and Pulau Pinang region should lift the sector's overall valuation. Now, the property sector has appreciated about 18% year to date, and the research house noted that most developers are turning more optimistic with 10 to 15% higher sales targets in the 2024 financial year. Now, it also said the aggregate property sales in the fourth quarter of last year were flat year on year and down by only 5% quarter on quarter due to stronger sales in the second and third quarters. On a full year basis, aggregate property sales rose 19% to 19 billion ringgit versus 16 billion ringgit in 2022. The East Coast Rail Link Economic Accelerator Projects, or ECRL EAPs, is set to boost socio-economic activities within various sectors such as construction, tourism, trade and industrial development. Now, the ECRL EAP is an infrastructure project which started back in April 2019 in collaboration with the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, or MIDA, and China Communications Construction Company. Now, MIDA emphasized that the ECRL is replete with opportunities for local companies, and it would be a huge loss if these were to go untapped. So given that the project is the largest ever to be undertaken along the East Coast alignment, it would be ideal for all companies to seize opportunities that arise. Well, areas that could be further explored are construction for the products and services, renewable energy, sustainable products and services, education and training centers, shared utility service like waste management, research and also development. Now, this will create more economic opportunities and new jobs at each of the EAPs. Now, MIDA also said that the successful implementation of the ECRL requires cooperation and collaboration among all stakeholders, including local governments, key transportation players, financial institutions, and local communities. Infobip, a technology unicorn company from Croatia, has made Malaysia its Asia-Pacific hub as the country offers a conducive environment for startups, especially technological infrastructure. So its president for international revenue, Ante Pamukovic, said the cloud communications company was not widely known when it ventured to Malaysia about 14 years ago, but the support it received has enabled it to slowly expand. Pamukovic said the company has now made Malaysia Infobip's Asia-Pacific operations hub. Explaining further, Pamukovic said Malaysia's technological infrastructure with dedicated technology areas such as Cyberjaya allows startups to have seamless operation and management. While he added from a logistical perspective, it is convenient to travel within the region from Malaysia. Infobip Vice President and General Manager for Asia Pacific and Eurasia, Ruslana Reznikova, meanwhile said Malaysia is also cost effective and has helped startups like Infobip to scale up throughout the region. Well, for the record, Malaysia has stated its aspiration to be the regional digital hub and has proven itself to be an attractive investment destination within the ASEAN region. Coming up in our foreign segment, Singapore's leadership transition set on 15 May. Well, Singapore has set 15 May as the country's leadership transition date, as Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will relinquish his office to pave the way for Lawrence Wong to succeed him. Now, the Prime Minister's office, in a statement, said Lee, 72, will formally advise President Tharman Shanmugaratnam to appoint Wong, who is the current Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, as his successor. Now, the new Prime Minister will be sworn in at 8 p.m. local time on the 15th of May at the Istana. The Prime Minister's office also said Wong has the unanimous support of the People's Action Party members of Parliament. Lee has served as Singapore's third Prime Minister since 2004. While Lee, the People's Action Party Secretary General, has led the party to 4 consecutive Singapore general election victories in 2006, 2011, 2015 and 2020. Now, Lee had in November last year announced his intention to step down as Prime Minister. In his Facebook post, Lee asked all Singaporeans to give Wong and his team their full support to create a brighter future for the country. Well, he said Lawrence Wong and the fourth generation team have worked hard to gain the people's trust, notably during the pandemic. Israel struck war-battered Gaza overnight as world leaders urged de-escalation, awaiting Israel's reaction to Iran's retaliatory attack that heightened fears of wider conflict. Now, as mediators eye a deal to halt the fighting between Israel and Hamas, fears persisted over Israeli plans to send ground troops into Rafah, a far southern city where the majority of Gaza's 2.4 million people have taken refuge. Israeli aircraft and tanks launched dozens of strikes overnight on central Gaza, causing several casualties. Witnesses said that strikes hit the Nuseirat refugee camp, with clashes also reported in other areas of central and northern Gaza. And the attacks come after world powers urged restraint after Iran launched more than 300 drones and missiles at Israel late Saturday, though the Israeli military has said nearly all were intercepted. Tehran's first direct assault on Israel in retaliation for a deadly 1st April strike on its Damascus consulate followed months of violence across the region. Next up in sports, 3 national track cyclists unofficially gain Olympics tickets. Well, 3 national track cyclists led by Dato' Muhammad Hazizul Hasni Awang have unofficially qualified for the Paris Olympic Games in the sprint and keirin events. So this is according to ASEAN Cycling Federation or ACF Secretary General Dato' Amarjit Singh Gill. Now, Dato' Amarjit said the other 2 cyclists are Muhammad Shahfir Dao Shahrom and Nurul Izzati Muhammad Asri. He noted that this is based on the points collected. On 22nd April, the International Olympic Committee will send an official list of qualifiers to all national Olympic committees. Well, so far, 6 Malaysians, that's Bertrand Rodriguez for diving, Nur Shazrin Muhammad Latif for sailing, Jonathan Wong for shooting, Ariana Nur Diana Muhammad Zairi for archery, Nur Aisha Muhammad Zubir for road cycling, and Muhammad Anik Kasdan for weightlifting have confirmed their places in the Paris Olympics, which will be held from 26 July to 11 August. So, if Nurul Izzati confirms her slot in the Olympics, the Kedahan will be joining Bertrand Rodig, Ariana Nur Diana, Muhammad Anik Nur Shazrin and Nur Aisha in making their Olympics debut. French President Emmanuel Macron, for the first time, said the Paris Olympics opening ceremony could move from the River Seine to the National Stadium in the event of a security threat. Now, Macron said instead of teams sailing down the Seine on barges, the ceremony could be limited to the Trocadero building across the river from the Eiffel Tower, or even move to the Stade de France. Now, the Paris organizers have devised a ceremony that is unprecedented in Olympic history as it breaks from the tradition of the Games opening in the main stadium. But with the Olympics taking part with war raging in Ukraine and in Gaza, the ceremony also leaves teams potentially vulnerable to attack. French authorities have, for example, mentioned the possibility of an attack by drone. So far, organizers have denied the ceremony on 26 July could be moved to a different venue if authorities believe there is a possibility it will be targeted. But there are alternative plans, including moving the ceremony to the Stade de France to the north of Paris. Now, Macron said he would do everything possible to have an Olympic truce during the Games. The truce is a historic tradition that peace reigns during the Olympics. Well, that concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, KLIA shooting suspect arrested in Kelantan. Do tune in to World Today, coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching.